Hello and welcome back everyone to War on the Sea. We are joining straight after our previous video whereby we did destroy a minor enemy task force consisting of a Tonne and Alba heavy cruisers and a Tenryu light cruiser, and we did destroy all of the enemy destroyers supporting that, which is absolutely brilliant. However, we do have to say goodbye to our Colorado at the moment. That's got to regroup and recouped, and that's mostly because we did take two very nasty torpedo hits right at the end of that battle there, and that is just really, really horrible indeed. We only just bought this ruddy bloody battleship, having to say goodbye to it after one engagement. Just not ideal there whatsoever. However, Battle Force 1 will push on into Guadalcanal, and that is mostly because we have recently sighted an enemy aircraft carrier task force. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head what it was. I believe there was an Unryu in there, and it was very lightly guarded. We were quite confident we could take that on if we do catch it out in a surface engagement, and that would be an enemy carrier out the way. We do still have the glitch whereby we can see enemy submarines about at the start of, when we load into the game. So we've got to be wary of these two ships over here. Otherwise, not a lot going on at the moment. We've taken Renault Island and we're looking at upgrading New Georgia with this supply group over here. However, this is largely supplies a bit of fuel, but not quite enough engineering to actually upgrade that in one go. So that's going to be a slow, long process getting that anywhere decent at the moment. So we will need to get more command points back to bolster our resource and logistics efficiency there, but that's not to worry. It's just something for the future. We are certainly focusing on Battle Force 1 at the moment and trying to push down enemy groups as we can. So let's try and get going, try and hunt down that carrier task force. If not, what do we try and do? I'm very tempted to try and bombard Santa Isabel over here, because that is a level 3 airfield. I want to get that down to level 2 at least, so that there's less radar in this area, and that will let us push up northwards once again. So let's carry on, and fingers crossed we can actually get through here safely at least. Well, this is not the task force we're looking for, but it is a rather hefty task force either way. We have sighted, moving north of Guadalcanal, an Alba, a Miyoko, possible Kumanagara, times that by 2, we have a second over here, and we have an Agano over here, escorted by a few destroyers. You can see we have already taken the time to identify all of this. The plan here is not necessarily to wipe out the enemy task force, because we are ourselves battered and probably quite low on ammunition across the board. I think we're doing fine here. What about our Atlanta? That should be fairly high on ammunition actually. Yeah, that's all good. But either way, aiming at least the Miyoko and the Alba here, and then we'll try and disengage depending on where we're at with our damage across the board. Certainly expecting to lose a destroyer or two. Let's get started, because we have issued firing orders for everyone as well. You can see we're going to try and cross the enemy's T over here, as well as looking at kiting away, perhaps getting some torpedoes out. We have issued smoke across the board as well. Let's get to the South Dakota, see if its guns are lined up. It's looking like it. Let's go towards the Alba over here, shall we? Maybe even get a manual fire off already. That is moving very, very quickly, but the range is 8.3 kilometers. It's not going to take any time whatsoever to travel there. And then we'll get him on spotting fire, because we do actually have a decent solution up already. We are firing star shells with a couple destroyers, so we'll have to watch out for that, as well as cruisers should be firing out some star shells where possible. But we are very low on star shells across the board as well, due to the previous night fight there. I think we'll hold once again. I think we just barely missed that ship because it did turn in there. So that's something to keep track of. I do want to make sure we down one of these ships as quickly as possible, of course. Let's move down here with that. Looks like we do have a full broadside going. Let's double check our positions, and I think we're firing out with the Porso, was it? No, it was the Gleaves firing star shells. So we're going to fire out some HE at this Fubuki over here, because we're certainly covering the enemy over here at the moment. Getting their searchlights out as well. We can see we're getting some minor hits onto the Alba here. We're focusing the South Dakota and the Northampton onto the Alba, and the where do we have it? The Brooklyn and the Portland are firing out on the Myoko behind it. Looks like Porter is taking some damage though. Looks like they are focusing on that. Let's try and get some torpedoes of our own out. Just a very wide spread there. Looks like we can't quite fire on that. Interesting. We're going now. Looks like they're turning out. Do we have any torpedoes? We do. There we go. Now we're turning out for them, which is excellent. Let's get some more with the Mustang over here, because we are certainly available for that. But it looks like the enemy is going to be circling around again. We do have our sonars active, and we're going to be thinking of the mistakes we made at the last battle, so we'll have to turn around away from the enemy very soon to deal with any possible torpedoes there. It's like the Alba's turning around there. Let's fire out here. Keep firing like that. So we're going to have to turn very soon, because it is looking like they haven't turned their torpedo tubes. We can actually see some streaks there from torpedoes. So we are going to move, I think. How are we going to do this? We're going to have to slow down a tad, I think, with everyone. And we'll get the Brooklyn out to its starboard side. We're going to full speed that. Get the Mayo out there as well. Actually, the Brooklyn and the Portland can actually line ahead, I think. Where are we? Brooklyn sits up here to make sure that is leading properly. It's being a bit fiddly. There we go. And they can line ahead like so. At full speed out there. South Dakota is going to want to turn out. The Gleaves will have to turn around. I think we get a circle out with the Gleaves at the moment. South Dakota is going to have to move out like this. I think we'll keep at this course at the moment with these ships. These torpedoes are looking terrible, and that's because they were expecting the enemies to move down here, but they're just turning, aren't they? I don't like that at all, so they're going to miss completely. How are we looking? Let's take a damage report. Heavy to moderate on the Alba. We've taken some damage, lots of damage on the Porter. It's difficult to tell with our pre-existing damage as well who's taking hits. Let's have a look at our battleship. We have certainly taken some hits in this battle. We do have some flooding already, so any torpedoes will ruin us at the moment. Going to try and get some more manual shots. So how are we looking on this Myoko? Might want to get something a little more substantial out there really in a second. And I think we'll keep us a low speed with this group over here. We might actually turn around the Atlanta as well, so that can break really. Increase its speed, reissue that order. We'll just watch out for our formations. Very, very close to actually hitting ourselves with the torpedoes here with this turn, I think, from the looks of things. Let's hold out here for a second. We are actually firing some AP onto this Myoko here. Let's see, just making sure that we have reloaded with all of our guns. And then we'll get a manual out roughly over here, I think. And we'll keep firing like so. We're holding with the South Dakota, so we will fire out onto the Alba here, which is certainly going a lot slower now. Look at that, there's a massive list on it. So fire out there. Just really worried the Mustang's taking a lot of damage as well now. It's on fire. Watching out for our... Looks like we did get a very nice hit on that Alba. So we're just going to pause again very quickly. Have a look at this damage we've taken. We need to move this onto the fire by the looks of it. And I would like to get this onto a more important component. See what we're doing, because I would like the South Dakota really to move away from those torpedoes. So let's break that off and increase its speed. That is going to reduce the amount of firepower going out, unfortunately. These two ships really need to just disengage, because this is pretty much lost by the looks of things. Not as bad as I was expecting, but certainly not ideal. We're losing a lot of engine power as well. Looks like we're getting a small collision over here, actually. This destroyer's looking very nice indeed. Myoko's looking nasty. So this might well be a case actually of trying to disengage after we've sunk the heavy cruisers. Let's take another report. Look at those shots coming in there, very nice indeed. Critical to critical on the Alba, critical to heavy on the Myoko. We might want to try and save these destroyers really to send them back. Oh, very closely missing there. Brooklyn's taking some nasty damage as well, and I really don't want to lose that. Really don't want to lose that big explosion there on the rear. Let's turn out. Let's turn out. Yeah, they're really focusing us now. I'm not liking all these hits. Let's move some damage control over, I think, on to... How long do we have on this? Quite a while. We certainly need to get on top of any fires and flooding, really, don't we? Portland, how are you looking? Going for the Miyako. Let's hold and get some firing orders. It's pretty much stationary. If we just focus over here atop its magazine would be nice. How are we looking with our stuff over here? Let's try and... Ooh, Brooklyn struck by dud torpedo. Oh, that's because we've turned too hard into our own. No, 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 no. I thought it looked like they were going just past. Saw that on the map, was wary of it. Holding your breath. That was very, very lucky. Miyako is sinking though, and we're going to get the Brooklyn out at full speed now. Behind the smoke. Ho, 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 ho. That was a schoolboy error and a half. We're going to watch the South Dakota over here as well. How's this Alba looking? Let's get some mangle shots over here. It's going at 8 knots. We'll aim just ahead of the bow there. Hold off on that. Ooh, just caught that lovely rear side magazine explosion as well. So I think we're turning everyone around and just getting out, to be honest. We are getting out. Yep, Alba's sinking. Retreat, guys. We've taken enough damage on our side. Let's call it a day there. Well, at the end of that battle, I think both sides very heavily damaged there, and the sad thing is, we're going to have to say goodbye to a lot of our ships here. We're going to have to send the majority of our force back to the dry dock, unfortunately. We did get 6 command points, but that's not enough with our total of 18 to replace anything. So that was just north of Guadalcanal there. We don't have a lot of nighttime hours left, so we're going to go as directly as possible all the way down to the New Hebrides here. We'll see what we're looking at repair time wise, but that's going to be a lot of time where we are certainly lacking, and this was certainly inevitable with the single main surface force here and part of the rules we've got in this campaign. But we can live with it, can certainly live with it. We've got things churning around. I think we can count ourselves lucky to not actually lose any ships there, considering our destroyers were certainly under a lot of fire. They were starting to get onto our heavy cruisers at that point. Okay, so this is where the danger is coming in now. On the retreat from Guadalcanal, we're not outside of their radar range, so we're getting the airplanes coming in from Guadalcanal. Probably should have taken a cheeky bombardment while we were able to. So we do have some Donrus armed with bombs, and it looks like Nels with torpedoes. We're going to have to do some massive maneuvers here. We have downed 1 aircraft already. It looks like it was a Donru. Let's move our South Dakota more independently as well there, because it's either the Portland or the South Dakota they're going for. It does look like the Portland. Very unlucky not to shoot down the Donrus before they dropped. So with that being said, we're actually going to take off the auto fire here and tell everyone to fire out their flak onto the circling Nels, because no point in focusing these once they've dropped, if you ask me. I can only hope that we've manoeuvred in time. We certainly have not. That is a massive amount of damage on the centre there. Can only hope those fires do not spread. And it was right on top of the magazine. Not liking that at all. Really not liking that at all. We're going to have to slow down though to allow our damage control teams to work. And we're going to have to watch out for our turn here if we slow all the way down here. I think we turn out as well with the Brooklyn actually. So we are firing our flak out here, aren't we? We certainly are. Okay, but it looks like they're going to go for the Portland once again. And that is an absolutely terrible bomb to take, because I was actually thinking we wouldn't need to send the Portland back home. But we certainly do now. Absolutely need to now. We're going to increase our speed a tad so that we can probably try and dodge these torpedoes. This is certainly coming in. Gonna get all of the... It looks like they haven't dropped yet. Let's stop here then. And we did shoot down all of those Nels. So, oh, there is a torpedo out. There is a torpedo out. That is just about here. I think we're going to take one with the South Dakota, but it's just stood still. Where is the torpedo? I can't even see it in the water. Just here. Yeah, we're certainly going to take one. We can only hope to take that on the torpedo bulge area. Not too bad because we took it on the bulge. This is a disastrous retreat. Horrible retreats. Don't like taking hits. It's one of my least favourite things to do. But we're going to have to sit and wait for these damage control teams to do their job now. Well, we've just reached the New Hebrides, so let's inspect the damage across the board and see exactly what ships we do need to send back. Northampton is actually looking pretty damn decent, with only a couple components hit at very nice integrity, so that's a clear one. The battleship might be the problem though. We do have a lot of components hit. We're at 100% capacities and efficiencies there. The secondary gun on the starboard side not looking great. Director could be doing better. It's a difficult one, this, because I don't think it is going to take very long to repair if we do send it back. And that's just, of course, the safest, but I think it also can survive another good engagement. I really think it can. We'll decide about that in the moment. We're certainly going to be sending back to Portland. The bridge is completely out, as well as the director over here. And just look at it. Damage across the board. Fairly decent integrities. But certainly going to send that back. I think we're going to be sending back the Brooklyn as well. We lost a secondary gun, but we do have a loss of existing damage. Fairly decent integrities, but it doesn't take a lot to push these down on the light cruisers, I find. So we're going to be sending that back. I don't think we're going to be saying goodbye to that for too long. Certainly going to be sending the Mustang back. We've lost a rear gun turret, we've lost the funnel, and we've lost our bridge. That's enough to say certainly go back home. Deserves it. Decent integrities roughly on the ports, although this one general at the bow is 46 out of 100. The Atlanta I might want to send back as well, just because of this flooding, and it really doesn't take a lot to ruin Atlanta after that. I think we might keep the Gleaves out, although we do have 2 days to wait for a Sims and a Benson to come out of the dry dock. I think that's about it really, isn't it? So we're sending back for sure the Portland, the Brooklyn, the Atlanta, and the Mustang. And we'll decide about the Porter as well. Let's go back, send those. So that was Portland. We will send back the Porter, Mustang, Brooklyn, Atlanta. That's a lot of ships to get rid of. It's a lot of ships to get rid of. How long is it going to take to come back though? The longest we have to wait is 11 days from those particular ships. That's a long old time. It is 5 days until we get more command points. You can see the Colorado is going to take 23 days to service. Might be the case of just having to wait to get resupplied, unfortunately. Did this in our previous American campaign, where we did just sit and wait. But we can be active with our airfield planes. See what we can do with those. So if that's going to be the case, I think I am going to send back the South Dakota here. So let's see, dockyards, South Dakota, where are you? That's going to take 9 days. It's not the worst, it's actually on par with the Brooklyn there. I think we can certainly wait around. We've got a few days to wait, so that'll bring out a couple of destroyers and such. Just going to be a bit of a boring wait for me, but we'll of course cut through. Take no time for you to wait. It just means we're a little less active. We're bringing our supply force over here to reinforce with some minor troops and supplies onto New Georgia. We've dropped off our main suppliers, engineering and fuel, but that is going to take another trip to actually upgrade the airfield there. And of course, we are going to be thinking about upgrading Rennell Island to a level 3 port as well, so that we don't have to go all the way back to the New Hebrides all the time to at least rearm. We can stay active like that. Well, just going to be waiting then. I shall see you in the future. Well, it is the next day on the game, and we've of course launched some B-17s to try and make an educated guess as to where we might find perhaps an enemy task force. So we did send them over towards Guadalcanal area, didn't find anything, but been seeing some sorts of planes looking like they're coming from the Shortland Islands, so we've gone towards that direction. We can only launch 8 B-17s, we're going to box them up at the moment in case we do find any zeros about, but we have sighted some sort of task force over here. And it's looking like a very nasty cruiser task force. We've got a Tonne over there. What else do we have? We have a Takao. That's rather interesting. So we're going to try and bomb the Tonne, of course. Let's move into position. Come to the rear over here. Target the Tonne. Increase our speed for now and increase our altitude. Pretty much double it, quite roughly. Doesn't need to be precise. Doesn't need to be anything special, just a really large altitude bomb, just for the sake of trying to hit some ships, really. Let's increase our speed to max, because we are tailing them. And we'll maintain this formation for now, and then we'll select everyone, break off, and attack when we're closer. No, we'll just see what we can do. Like I said, this is just for the sake of trying to stay active, so whether we actually hit this or not and sink it, I can take it or leave it, really, to be honest. I was really hoping to find an enemy carrier, but no such luck. No such luck. But if we did find a carrier, these zeros would certainly rip our B-17s apart, wouldn't they, before we got anywhere near them. So we're going to just try and come from its rear, although with our particular formation, a broadside attack might not be the worst of ideas. We're going to slow down our speed a tad to let ourselves turn round, and we're going to break an attack like so. So it's looking like they're not really breaking their formation off too much when we select everyone at once, but they are moving a tad, but still roughly keeping the formation going. But we should be very close to dropping because of our altitude. And they're not manoeuvring too much, actually. If we went for the leading to Cal, that would have been a harder target, I feel. But with all these DDs covering us, it's going to be a lot of flak to get through, but I think we should all manage to drop. We certainly are. So we're carrying 4 1,000-pound armor-piercing bombs. And before those hit, I am going to tell ourselves to reform. Probably actually increase our spacing, like so. Increase our speed, and yeah, just guess out. Just move forwards, really. Guess out of the engagement zone. And that was certainly very, very disappointing, wasn't it? Every single bomb just straddled the Tonne there. Oh well, can't win them all, but we did say we'd take it or leave it. So yeah, we're just happy to know what's going on. It's looking like the enemy is being a little more reactive than we thought with this mod. They're certainly being more aggressive when they know we're out and about close to Guadalcanal. Because we haven't sighted anything at all in that area with these B-17s. It looks like we're just leaving the area now. I only lost the one plane. I'll happily take that. We can retreat then. And that was very close to the Shortland Islands there, but now we have to come back. You can see we're spotting some dive bombers. This is the thing, they are going towards the Shortland Islands here, because we have bombarded that down to a level 1 airfield. I don't expect a lot of planes to be coming off there, and it should really be float planes, you know, Jakes and Mavises and such, rather than actual dive bombers there. But we'll see. We'll see in the future. I do still have quite a while to wait for our reinforcement to come round, but I think, unfortunately, guys, that is all we have time for today. Trying to keep the episodes concise. So I shall see you in the future, whereby, at which time, rather, we will have already been resupplied, so let that play out, and then we can get straight into things there. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed the video once again. Please do leave your feedback as ever in the comments. It's very, very helpful to read that. But so I shall see you in the next one. I hope all of your nights and days are auspicious. Goodbye.